gentlemen, I present to you Life's Milkshake Moment with health coach Joe D.
Welcome to Life's Milkshake Moment. This is the real and raw edition because of my amazing celebrity and profound guest here tonight. So welcome back to Life's Milkshake Moments. You know, life is like a milkshake. Choose your ingredients wisely, and when you do, your life will be oh so sweet. I am Dr. Jody Bear, America's top foundational health coach, a 42-year pioneer in the health coaching field, focusing on foundations of health, foundations of living, foundations of hope through all 6 pillars of human existence, starting with spiritual, then physical, mental, emotional, social, and financial. I'm proud to say that over my practice that I've had over 1 million pounds of toxic fat lost, and with a 5% recidivism rate. Yes, they keep it off because of the transformational work, because all transformation is an inside job. And also during this COVID era that I've had 2,000 clients that have come in, remediated, and restored their health, because a body is a miracle making machine. The body put in the right condition can heal itself. But concerning this weight, the most important thing is 1 million pounds. You say, Jody, what's that? But guess what? The next pounds can be yours. Just DM me at any time. Now, from my background, I'm a little girl from small town Montana. The state's big, the towns aren't. Brown-eyed ponytail girl. But I found out that I had a gift. You have a gift, ladies and gentlemen out there too. But my gift at age 5, I found out I could sing, and sing I did. What did that singing do? My soulful singing left my mother, who was a young widow at 36, and it lifted her out of her depression, and it lifted me out of the abandonment issues that I felt, that I didn't even know that I felt, when my father suddenly passed away when I was 3.5. What I found coming forward as a health coach, it was the same empowerment that I felt. Anything ever hits you out of the blue? That's what hit me out of the blue as I'm a young professional musician on my way. I just thought it was another day to sing. I was on my way with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra for a solo performance in Handel's Messiah. What happened as I was broadsided by a Lincoln Continental. My next waking moment, I am face down in a surgical halo. What was I to do? I reached in because I knew there was hope. And my mother, the same mother that I gave hope to, came to the hospital room the next day. Nothing felt like anything. And the part of my body that I felt from the shoulders on up was an excruciating pain. And she reached down to me and said, Jody, your diagnosis is not your prognosis, as Les Brown would say, but her version was this. Jody, the doctors only see what they see. They don't know who you are. So as you listen to the raw and real of my distinguished guest here tonight, Christopher Rausch, she'll say, who are you? Find out who you are. If one person can do it, another person can do it. And you know the rest of the story. If you've heard me speak before, I got up out of that bed for things I knew health coaching wise, even back then. I walked out of that hospital room and I've been running ever since. Then I got another tap on the shoulder. A couple of years later, I'm a young expectant mother. We're sitting around in this group. It was called La Leche League. Expectant mothers, young mothers that were breastfeeding. And I saw this nutrition around there. I knew how my body was a miracle making machine. I could get that inflammation out of my body. And these women that were expecting were sitting there. The best nutritional value in that dining room was nachos, and salsa. I said, say, what's this? You've got somebody that's counting on you that's even unborn. I got the next tap on the shoulder about health. The national president was there. She said, well, Jody, why don't you do something about it? Because if you have a leaning, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got a leaning that people are asking for advice, you get the tap on the shoulder, listen to that tap. Well, I needed a third tap because a year later, I get the call. Ever get the call that changes everything? My mother called me up on the landline. Of course, this was 1981. I'm in just doing the innocuous cleaning up dishes from dinner. She said, Jody, I have bad news. I said, what is it, Mom? She said, the doctors have given me 6 weeks to live. Oh, I slumped down on the floor. Not my mother, my dad, and now my mother. I'm 25 years old. I rolled off that toilet paper until there was no more roll. I got to have a plan. Oh, I went back up to that small town in Montana, like my mother, who paid for my music lessons with money she could ill afford. I knew I was going to give back to my mother and give her hope. And I found these ages old protocols with Edgar Casey. And I was able to give my mother length of life way beyond her 6 weeks to live diagnosis. So as she was transitioning out of this life into the other, 3 years later, well, she said to me, Jody, give others hope like you have given me. And that's what I've been doing for 42 years. My mentor, the legendary Les Brown, says it is possible to open up a whole new future for yourself. You have the keys, just like I had it those 3 times. It will give you access to unlimited power that will absolutely be within yourself. Just know that it is possible, because I'm possible and you're possible too. So take my hand and let's go on this journey together, shall we? Because health isn't something you do. It is what you become along life's journey. So just like our guest here tonight, our mission is hope and purpose. Like my mother said, I gave others hope, and Christopher Rausch will give you hope too. After our commercial break, I'll bring Christopher up. And this is a commercial break with our sponsor, businessfromhome.net and humongousAds.com/TV. Peter Mingles is the gentleman whose company this is all about. I do a syndicated radio show with him every Sunday night on buildingfortunesradio.com/live, 8:30 p.m. on Sundays. But listen to what Business from Home can do, and listen to what Humongous Ads can do for you and your business. Take a look.
Inflation is going through the roof. Food prices, gas prices, housing prices, insurance, everything. The average family is feeling the pinch. So what can you do? Ask your boss for a 20% cost of living wage increase? That won't end well. Fall for a get-rich-quick scheme? There are people who you can rely on to show you how to make money in a home-based business. Give us a chance to walk you through how it works. It's not really that complicated. You just have to find the right opportunity and the right people. Visit www.humongous.com/TV and submit your information. Maybe we can help. Billions of families are wondering how to work from home and earn extra income.
Yes, contact Peter Mingles. He can help. And frankly, you can help too. Just like PBS, these programs are brought to you by our patrons and donors, the majority of which this money that's collected each and every week goes to my charity. It's La Casa Ropa de Sobre down in Colombia, where we have brought for several years orphans that have no adults in their lives and elderly, kind of like myself. But we brought together older people that want a purpose to bring up the next generation. We put them under one roof, La Casa Ropa de Sobre. So if you're so led, please check out my Cash App, check out my Venmo or PayPal. And I'm checking out all these comments because people know that I have somebody here that is just the bee's knees. It is Christopher Rausch. It's one of the best bios I've ever seen. I'm telling you, I received this. I'm going, he's raw. He's real. There's no excuses in his book because he's an executive coach. He's a mindset coach. He's a professional motivational speaker, author, and top podcast host. I think he does like 6 a week. I'm so glad that he takes one day off. But he's with his podcast. It's a relatable story. It is absolutely in his own words. He is one who helps people to overcome their, get this, self-created crap and creates results without self-help, fluffy bullshit. In other words, it's real, it's raw. But the thing that I love about Christopher is he is 100% family man. I remember last year when we were just getting used to the Clubhouse routine, and I asked him to speak, and then he sent me a text. He said, no, I have to take care of my son. He's first in my life. So boy, when you can have a man who cares that much about what he has brought into the world, and then he's not going to take any of your crap and give you no fluff bullshit to do it. We've got a recipe for true live success. So it is my pleasure and honor to bring you to Life's Milkshake Moment. Way to go, Christopher.
Damn, that was amazing. I love that introduction. Thank you so much. This is going to be a fire conversation. So thank you for having me on the show. And I love your story that you shared at the intro. So bravo and thank you.
And bravo and thank you to you in advance. Okay, you are the rock star quality. And I didn't even know that you were going to have musician and guitars behind you, but you are. You're that rock star professional. Share with our audience your early beginnings of Christopher Rausch as I bring up your signs here. And Christopher Rausch, I've got both of your, I believe, your email and your everything else up here. There we go. No excuses, coach. Go. Tell us about your beginnings.
My beginnings were a bit crazy. I actually grew up here in Southern California, grew up in a city called Inglewood. It's inside of Los Angeles County. And I grew up with a mother with various psychological disorders. And the God's honest truth, I was supposed to be placed for adoption when I was born. But my mom saw me and the nurses said, do you want to see, the nurses said, do you want to see your son? And she was like, well, I guess so. And so they placed me on her chest. And at that moment, she decided not to place me for adoption. And she said, it's just you and me, kid. And that's actually the title of the book that I'm currently writing right now. I'm almost done. So from that point forward, it was us, my sister, occasionally in the picture. She had a different dad, and my biological father was never in the picture. He actually was married with a family of his own. So through those first 5 years living in Inglewood, it was pretty crazy. It was a lot of physical abuse, mental abuse. My mother had to be checked into a psychiatric hospital because she attempted suicide multiple times. Oh, wow. And then ultimately at the age of 6 years old, we moved to Orange County with her boyfriend and my sister. And I thought for the first time in my life, I would actually have a family. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. There was a lot of violence in the home and everything else. And then I'm telling you the accelerated version. But then on May 10th, 1982, I came home from school and found out that we were being evicted from our house. So we had to gather all of our belongings. And for the next 4 years, I was homeless on the streets and inside the back seat of a station wagon with 18 cats and 2 dogs. That's just the encapsulated view for the first part.
Did you say 18 in the car?
18 cats and 2 dogs. Yeah, there was actually 30 cats in the house, but unfortunately we could only catch 18 of them. And then we let the rest go so that they wouldn't be put in the pound.
Oh my goodness gracious. What? No wonder you're the no excuses coach. No wonder. No wonder. And since yeah, no kidding. So this is, and by the way, as you were talking about abandonment and everything, Manny Lopez said, hey, he says, go Dr. Jody. So he's both in our corner here as we're doing this live event. Since you said which pillar of human existence really clicks in with you, it was the mental pillar. Okay. So please share about, I guess the best way of describing it was your tumultuous teenage years, because there was a lot in there.
Oh, yeah. From basically 13 to 17, we lived in the backseat of the car. I lived in a garage. I lived inside of an abandoned van. We were in and out of trashy motels over those periods of time. And after 2 failed suicide attempts, ultimately some guy put a gun to my head because he thought I was racist because I wouldn't buy a carton of Marlboro Reds from him. And at the time I smoked Cool Menthols, and I went to reach in the back pocket to show him the pack of cigarettes that I smoked. I'm like, dude, I'm not racist. I don't care what color your skin is. I care what color the pack of cigarettes is. I had a 9mm put to my head, and I thought, all right, I sucked at suicide, so now I'm going to get my brains blown out because this guy thinks I'm a racist. And ultimately in that moment, it just really caused me to take a look at my life after the last 4 years of everything that had happened to us. My mom was raped. I didn't go to school. I worked 3 jobs. I had a car accident. I was carjacked almost. And then ultimately I just took a look and I was like, you know what? The only way I'm going to get out of the situation is either in a pine box or a back of a patrol car, because I was doing bad things, or I'm going to have to take responsibility for my life and leave the situation. And ultimately at 17 years old, I had an opportunity present itself, and I took that opportunity and left my mom in the motel. I didn't leave her personally. I went back there every night and helped her and still gave her money. But from that point forward, I started changing my life.
Wow. I'm sure you've heard this before, but I'm just going to say double wow, because you took charge. You took charge. Just like I did when they said you'll never walk again. I said, They don't know me. They don't know me. They didn't know you, Chris. We figured it out. And I mean, I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you're listening. If you find yourself, as Les Brown would say, what you're going through, you can get through. And
Yes,
you did. And frankly, that's why you just have such mental resolve. There's just so much in there. People are gravitated to you because of what you've gone through, that you're raw and real. And just to say, no pun, no alliteration attended, but you really got my attention on your blogs. I mean, I love the name of your blogs on your website, which I've got up there, ChristopherRausch.com. No Excuses Coach, I believe, is in the works. I wanted to make sure that we got both of those in here. But as far as the day in the life, you said the day everything changed. And you talked about on Facebook today the difference between fear and love. Would you tie that into your story, please?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I grew up basically afraid of everyone and everything. I was physically abused at home. I was physically beat up and bullied by a couple of kids on the street that I lived on. And then when I went to school, I was actually physically beaten up there as well. So my whole goal in life was to not get my ass kicked and to try to make everybody else happy, make them laugh. And ultimately, if I could do that, then I felt successful. But I always lived through the lens of fear. And I was always afraid, even when I became successful in corporate later on in life, I was always afraid of losing it all and winding up being homeless again. And it wasn't until I started getting around the right people. And you keep mentioning Les Brown. I don't know if you know this, but I actually met Les. I have a picture with him in a bandana. I spent 3 days in a training workshop with him. It was phenomenal. But once I started getting around the right people,
you got Les to put one of your bandanas on.
I could show you the picture. If you want me to screen share, I would show it to you. It would take me a second to show you, but yeah, he couldn't get me dressed up the way I am. You know, it was a little bit different, but yeah, ultimately he was just like tripping out, and he actually pulled me out into the hotel lobby of the Sheraton Gateway Hotel. He'll tell you this, and he's like, Christopher, you're an amazing speaker. I love you. You have an incredible story. He goes, but I can't do this. I can't do the bandana. I can't do the cursing and everything else. He goes, but you're a phenomenal speaker. And for me, that was like the epitome of like, oh my God, I made it. Like Tony Robbins and Les Brown, those cassette tapes and Zig Ziglar and all those back in the day, those were the first nuances of positive influence in my life ever. Yes. Aside from watching television shows and dreaming that my life could be like Happy Days. And ultimately I looked at Les and I said, Les, I love you and respect you like you have no idea, but I have to be me. And that's really when the period of my life when I started looking through that lens of love and loving myself and realizing that it wasn't about me. My mom wasn't beating me up because of something wrong with me. It was because of her environment and what she chose to focus on. So I started shifting that perspective. And that's what I teach my coaching clients to do, is when you start shifting your perspective just a little bit and you start loving on yourself, there's no reason to be afraid of anything. You just start having that unstoppable confidence to know that everything is happening for you and not to you. And that ultimately you're going to succeed as long as you continue to push yourself forward and get around the right people. So yeah, it's all about love.
This is happening for you, not to you. I can see, and I could see Les right now with that laugh, and he puts a bandana. He's you know, we're having this 12.
Oh, I actually got it up on the screen. You want me to share the screen real quick?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
We'll just go off script here for a second, but let's see, share screen. This will be fun. I usually do this. I'm usually the host. but there it is. Oops. I don't know if you can see. I think you have to approve it or something like that, or you have to put it on the screen. But yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. Okay, so we're going to
I
add this to the screen. Oh
that
my goodness
me and
gracious.
Les Brown. He came. I walked into the room, this training room that day. He's like, "What's up, Mr. Kickass?" And I said, "What's going on, Les?" You know, I wasn't starstruck. And he's like, "You got one of those kerchiefs for me?" And I said, "Sure." And I always carry bandanas around with me when I go to events so that I can like christen people, you know, Kick-Ass Unstoppable. And I went to go hand him I said, "Which one do you want? You want red, blue, or black?" He's like, "Give me the blue one. Give me the blue one." And I went to go give it to him. He goes, "No. I want you to put it on me." And I was sitting and everybody in the room couldn't get the fact that Les was focusing on me because everybody was wearing the suit and ties. They were kissing his ass. They wanted his attention, like Les. And I was just being me. And so I wrapped the bandana and I put it on his head, and we took like, there's more shots, but we took a bunch of shots, and I just had a blast with him. He was just a phenomenal human being.
Yes, he is. And I think he's speaking right now on our event, but I will make sure I'll say, guess what? It's the Les Brown effect. It just keeps on giving and giving and giving. And there's such an affinity because you have such a mental resolve. You know, that 1%, that when we have the 1%ers room on Clubhouse, you have that 1% because of everything you do. So I'm thinking I want to share, since we're kind of going off script, the day in the life of the No Excuses coach. Now, I'm a runner. I run, but I've got that kind of runner body. You know, you're not exactly a runner kind of body, correct? And I'm sitting here. We're having this conversation. I said, I'd love to have you on the show. You are a bodybuilder kind of thing, but you talk about commitment. You started with a commitment to yourself, and then it was commitment to your life, and now you make that commitment to everyone you touch, no matter what. NMW, that's my no matter what. Hashtag NMW, it's code. And then hashtag no excuses. I just love that story where you got a call from your wife. You had to go ahead for kindergarten or something. You said, "I'm far away. I've got to do my podcast." You said, I don't run.
Yeah.
So what did you do to honor your commitment? This is a great story. Give it to us.
Oh, seriously. Yeah. We were at my son's school and I was sitting there like, "Oh, we got to go. I was recording my show, my Friday night show. We were recording earlier in the day. And she's like, "Well, you better get running." Cause I want to stay. She wanted to sit there and find out about how to get on the school, you know, chat system or whatever it was. And I was like, "I got to run. You know, I got guests waiting for me." So literally it's 1.5 miles. So I literally started running. I have a bad back. I'm not a runner. And I ran and I limped and I made it there. And it was like 100 degrees outside, and came up and blotted myself off and came up here and started I saw my guest. I had like 2 seconds to start the show, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I just ran 1.5 miles to get here to make sure that I kept my commitment," because that's the thing about us. You know, we just have to do our best. And so many people sit there and they give themselves that out, like, "Well, you know, I did the best I could." And it's like, you know, really, did you? What was your real best? And that's one of the things I do as the No Excuses coach is I raise people's vibration in their bar to sit there and say, okay, if you really do your best, there should be blood, sweat, and tears involved. I mean, you should really end the day with a feeling of accomplishment and gratitude for everything that you got the opportunity to experience. But so many people don't give their best, but they just sit there and they play the someday game. Like, "Oh, Chris, someday when this happens and this happens, then I'll," and it's like, you know what? You got to live right now. Otherwise you're just existing.
Oh, because someday is not a day of the week. Last time I checked.
No, ma'am. I tell them, I said, "Show me that on a calendar."
Nice. I mean, you just got them popping and popping. And then there was a picture the next day. There was kind of a sideline fallout about doing your best, doing the commitment. I saw you taping up that ankles, and you took your son or somewhere to the theme park, but no excuses. You made it.
Yes, I did. That's the one thing my coach asked me. She goes, "What makes you different from other coaches and from everybody else?" And I'm like, the reason why I'm still here today is the fact that I didn't give myself any excuses. Like when I went back to school, a mentor of mine said, "You know, Chris, why don't you go back to high school?" And I'm like, "Are you crazy? I'm 18 years old. I smoke cigarettes." I mean, there was just I was working 2 jobs. I was living in an apartment with 5 other guys, and he wants me to go get my high school diploma. I'm like, "Are you nuts? Let's get in the real world, dude." And so he told me this thing about this GED. And I went and this is before the internet, so I'm a little older. And I had to look through the phone book, and I called all these schools, and I found out there was a GED program to get your general equivalency diploma. And I went and did that. No excuses. I thought I was stupid. My mom told me I was stupid my entire life. I didn't do very good in school. And then ultimately got my GED, and I went back and I said, "Hey, I got my GED. I was dating his daughter." And he goes, "Okay, what have you thought about college?" And I'm like, I'd never thought about college. I always thought about surviving, like doing as much as I could just to stay off the streets. And so at his suggestion, I went to Golden West College here in Southern California, I walked in the front door and I thought they were going to laugh at me and tell me to get the F out. And I walked in there and I said, hey, I'd like to come to school here. I have no idea what to do. And 3 hours later, I was in a business program. Was in my first class, which was interpersonal communications. I had my first textbook and I walked back out. And then from that point on, I spent 12 years in school and got my master's degree when I was 31, the same year I bought my first house. Unstoppable, no excuses, one foot in front of the other, went to the gym, worked a full-time job, all that stuff, and still accomplished it.
And because somebody gave you direction, somebody gave you a vision, gave you a suggestion. I always say that I know when to coach and when to be coachable as I move on upward success. You were coachable. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's why you got Les Brown to put that banner on your head, on his head.
Yeah.
I mean, because he is coachable too. And I loved what you said about your secret sauce. Your daily, as I have a saying, Chris, I'm going to share with you, macro success is found in micro living.
Yes.
It's those 10 rituals. You said leaders are readers. If you saw the number of books in our house, my husband's an archaeologist. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Our library looks like the Smithsonian. And some of the books he's read twice, but he can pull something out. And frankly, I said, if I was going to marry again, I was going to marry Wikipedia. I did a pretty good job. All right. So this is the only thing I've got him on is baseball. He's not a baseball fan. So I when Jeopardy comes on, I get that kind of thing. But leaders are readers, because he has always said that leaders are readers. And so did you. So how you've got coaching clients, you do this, you're 6 days a week, you've got a wife, you've got a son, and all of these responsibilities. How do you do your secret sauce of finding that micro living in reading every single day?
It's just a matter of making it a priority. I wake up every single morning with the same exact ritual. Before my eyes open, I say what I'm grateful for, and then I set my intentions for the day. And my intention is always to learn and grow somehow, some way, in every way. So I either listen to audiobooks, or for the first 20 minutes of the day, I'll sit down and read part of a book. I actually created a book club. So we meet once a week and we pick out a book and we read, 2 or 3 chapters, and we talk to each other about that, and we learn and grow together. And it's just about making it a priority. Or I'll go on and watch YouTube videos on the weekends. Always about expanding my mind. I love Ed Milet and I just forgot his other name, but I always follow successful people and repeat, that's what it's about. If somebody has led the path before you, go and read about that. Like I was just telling somebody today, there's an awesome book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And in that book, he talks about you can be in your zone of greatness, your zone of excellence, or your zone of genius. And in that, I'm like, okay, when I was in corporate, I was very successful. I was a director of operations, been with the company over 20 years. My zone of excellence, like leadership, team building. My master's degree is in organizational management. Zone of excellence. But I got this book and it was talking about your zone of genius. And I'm like, simultaneously, I've been coaching and speaking for over 20 years. It was before even the coach term was out there. And, from listening to that, I was like, okay, my zone of genius, how do I make that jump? And my coach had me watch this video. It's by Steve Harvey, the talk show host, I'm not sure exactly what comedian. And it's like a minute and 23 seconds. And bar none, I've watched thousands of hours of videos. It's a minute and 23 seconds. And in that video, Steve Harvey, it's called Jump. Anybody wants to go watch it. In it talks about the fact that, you got to go jump. And I was sitting there waiting. I was comfortably miserable. It's a lot of what my coaching clients come to me. They're successful, but they're just missing that other part of their life and they don't want to have any regrets. So ultimately he talks about, you got to make that jump. And so in November of 2019, I made that jump to leave corporate and do my coaching and my speaking and finish my book and all that other stuff. And then COVID hit, and you just continue to do it. You just have to make a priority to love yourself first. But so many people, honestly, are doing everything for everybody else. And so I ask them, how much, who's the person you love your most in your life? Oh, it's my kid. It's this, it's that. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love them? A 10. Okay, let me ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well have you taken care of yourself? 4 or 6. I'm like, so how do you expect to give this person the best of you when you're not giving the best of you? And that's where people got it all screwed up. They're doing everything for everybody else. They're tolerating stuff they don't need to be tolerating. And I've asked this question over the course of COVID, for me to give back to people. I gave out these complimentary coaching sessions just because I just love to help people. And through those coaching sessions, honestly, doing them on Zoom, I started seeing a pattern. And so I just sat back and I was like, I'm going to start asking people this question. I said, let me ask you a question. And I want you to answer it honestly. Do you love yourself? Yes or no? And I thought, honestly, that somebody was going to sit there and say, well, that's a stupid question. But honest to God, 75, 80% of the people struggle to love themselves. And I'm like, once you start loving yourself, again, that love versus fear situation, you start loving yourself, you stop tolerating the BS that's in your life, and you get real and raw with your growth, and you invest in yourself. It's amazing what it is that you can achieve in your life. You just got to make those steps. And that's what I did. I'm not anybody's, I mean, I'm special, but I'm not anybody special. I just kept going and kept learning, and I fall down and I make mistakes and I learn from them. I grow from them, and I surround myself and I invest in myself, and I continue just to rock my world.
You rocked your world, because look at that smile. Look, Mr. MMA, it's like, okay, I'm tough. I've got this mental resolve. I mean, it's like no excuses, non-stoppable, NMW. I'll get you the thing that it says that we've got it in our group, and we wear it. It has fatigues on it, and we had to put NMW, so that's my little gift to you, besides something else that I was thinking just for.
Well, I'll trade you, because I've got my wristbands that say no excuses and unstoppable. And this one says believe and no excuses.
Oh, we're going to be male pen pals. I just love it. I just love it. And I just love your intention.
Thank
because you live life by intention. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris, and I've got to say this, Christopher could have stayed in that 13-year-old boy.
Oh yeah.
He could have very easily. But I had a great coach and mentor in my women's ministry that said it's easier to stay a victim than to become a victor.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
You pressed through. But I want to come back because I don't know when I've gone through 9 questions. I'm going, we have time. This is great. Oh,
ask me anything. I'm an open book.
I'm going to ask you anything. I love that, because you went ahead and you made a decision. Oh, I just left corporate. I just left my cushy job. It's 2019. I'm going to find my book or whatever. So many people want to be a coach. So many people, even more so, want to be a speaker. I mean, I've been around less since 2020. I know people come in, they say, what's my message? Oh, I don't know. How did you make that shift? How did you make that shift? Because you're speaking. I mean, whatever you did I got to just give you kudos. Whatever you did, being that MC of whatever, the we thing. Was just
the power we.
Oh, yeah, the power of we. I was like, I listened to you, and I was there. I was we. So congratulations on that. It's just that transfer, because of your frequency, because of what you do, because you stay stable. But you keep that frequency that nobody can touch it. But how did you go from, I think I want to speak to, I'm speaking?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I've been doing it for a long time now. It's one of my gifts. It was actually one of my dreams was to go back to the 7th grade school that I dropped out of here in Southern California and go speak to those kids. And God, source, universe, whatever you believe in, will present those opportunities for you. So I was literally sitting, and this is going to sound funny, I was sitting at a Hooters with a couple of buddies of mine, and we were talking about our dreams and everything. And I said, you know what? One of my biggest dreams is to go back to the school I dropped out of and go speak to those kids. And my buddy says, well, what school did you go to? And I said, Brookhurst Junior High. And he goes, no way. He goes, in Anaheim, right? And I said, yeah, absolutely. He goes, my wife's a PE coach there. And I said, no way. And he goes, I'm going to go home and talk to her. She's really good friends with the president or the principal. And so a couple of days later, he sends me an email. He says, you're in. He goes, they've invited you to come there. And so I got to go speak. And this was way back in, I think it was early 2000s. I can't remember. I'm horrible at dates. And I got to go speak to the 7th and 8th grade class. And I was hooked from that point forward, just to take my story. I had never told people my story. I never told people I was homeless. I was embarrassed as hell. And all of a sudden I'm in front of this auditorium of these kids who were just like I was. And I couldn't believe how small they were, because I literally went from being a kid to being an adult overnight. I'm actually literally just writing about it in my book before we came on here. And to be able to do that, these kids walked up to me like, Chris, I'm at Olive Crest Children's Foundation, which is a place I mentor kids at. Or, I'm living in a motel, or my mom's on drugs and I'm with my grandparents, and all these different stories. And from that point forward, I was hooked, and I just became a speaker in that moment. I've been coaching people for for probably at least over 20 years. I didn't charge for it. It was just my way of, I saw the movie Pay It Forward, and I was inspired to say, okay, what can I do with my gifts to pay it forward and make this world a better place? And so I started doing Pay It Forward coaching, where I would coach somebody for 6 weeks, and they would go, their assignment was to go do 3 nice things for complete strangers to come back and tell me about it. And they would come back, and the thing, I thought my coaching was going to shift them, honestly, but they came back and they found out that they realized that they had so much more abundance in their life than the people they were helping. So that shifted their perspective. And so I've just been doing it. So it's just a matter of getting to that point where you recognize that you're not going to live forever. And the God's honest truth was, back in 2008, I was at a funeral for a coworker of mine, and I was sitting in the back of the church, and I was watching all my coworkers go up and eulogize this beautiful woman. And I immediately just took it upon myself to say, Chris, if you died tomorrow, who would show up and what would they say? And I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, 10 or 15 people would show up with 12 packs of Miller Genuine Draft and bottles of Jack Daniels and Motley Crue and Bon Jovi records. And they would talk about all the crazy stuff that Chris did. Cause I used to do some crazy stuff, women chaser, all this other stuff, did lots of great things. Fortunately, cell phone cameras weren't around back then. And I was driving home. I'm like, how can I change that situation if I do die tomorrow? And so I went home and God's honest truth. I wrote my eulogy. And the crux of it said that Christopher Rausch will have fought for what was right and what was fair. He will have risked for which that mattered, and he will have left the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. And God's honest truth, when I wake up every day and I set those intentions, my beautiful friend Tara is here. Hi, Tara. I set those intentions every day to fulfill that legacy. So when you have clarity on who it is that you want to be remembered for, and you're intentional and you take those imperfect actions every single day, there's no doubt you're not going to achieve it. And at the very least, if this is the last thing I ever do in my life, God forbid, and my son goes to say, was dad living on purpose? He's going to watch this interview and he's going to be like, dad was living on his purpose. So that's what I guide people to do, is to have that clarity, to stop the tolerations and to get out of their own way. And that's exactly what I did.
And we were talking about this on the clubhouse today, because pain and purpose and what comes between that is the power. I feel such power from you. It's that triple P. It's you can't deny it, Chris. There's such power, but then there's that thing. I just, it's probably because now I kind of know the answer to this, because if there were 18 cats with you in the car and all of that, tell us about your kitty love. You kept it going forward. That picture of you with the kitties and whatever, it was just like, it was so cool. Tell me about kitty love.
Oh yeah, it's pretty amazing. Every once in a while when I'm being interviewed, I've been interviewed hundreds of times, and sometimes people say, they'll go, "You must hate cats." I'm like, no, I actually love cats. I said, it wasn't the cat's fault. It was my mom's fault. Well, not even her fault. It was just her conditioning and her mind. And sometimes I get it. I mean, I love people to death, but some days my animals are just the best friends. And so I absolutely love cats. I'm like, my wife calls me the kitty whisperer. She calls it something else, but I'll keep it clean. She calls me the kitty whisperer. And I connect with animals. I can go over to people's houses and they come up to me where normally they don't come up to strangers. So I just love all beings. We're all here for a particular purpose. We're all more the same than we are different. And the stuff that I see going on in the world breaks my heart. But at the end of the day, I love all living creatures. I have a little tiny fish. His name's Zippy. He outlived 2 goldfish, and I walk up to the tank and I'm like, "Hi, Zippy," and he comes up to the tank. We can't communicate, but for some reason there's a connection there, because I live out of a space of love. I don't live out of a space of anger or fear.
And it's that frequency when you can get to love, that creative space, as Wallace D. Wallace said, that all things are made. You stay in that creative space, Christopher. It's so apparent. So, I mean, I know you have this saying, fly your freaking flag.
Your freak flag.
How that came around, please.
Your freak flag. I know some people sit there and think about it being a bedroom thing, but it's just like, for me, like, I was a suit and tie speaker before I met Les. I wore the suit and tie. I was very successful at it. There's videos on my YouTube channel where it's just a playlist called Suit and Tie Speaking. People trip out. But I would come off stage and I would be at multi-speaker events, and the God's honest truth, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. Most people in the personal development space are full of shit. They're con artists. I saw this with my own eyes. Some people,
the fluffy type. Let's get let's put that before. It's the fluffy type.
It's the fluffy stuff. Yeah, mm-hmm. I saw some people that are very, very successful. I won't name their names. Come backstage, and I made friends with the photographer. Always make friends with the photographer at events. And I'm like, this guy came back. He's super successful, and he's like, the first thing he said was like, "How many sheets do we get? How many sheets do we get?" And I was like, "What the hell are sheets?" And he goes, "Oh, those are the order forms for his program." I'm like, "Well," he looks all pissed off. Like, what? He goes, No. He goes, "That's what they're looking for." And he told him to get back out there and hustle and everything. And I was like, "What?" And so I just realized I don't want to be like everybody else. And I'm not like everybody else. But I was pretending to be like everybody else because that's what made me successful. As long as I did X, Y, and Z, then I would be successful. And that was my whole thing. I was operating out of fear because I was afraid if I didn't do these things, that I would wind up homeless again. But ultimately, one day I just decided, I invested in this mastermind, and I got around some brilliant people. And I said, I'm thinking about just being me. Like, I swear, and I wear a bandana. I've worn a hat backwards when I had long hair, when I had hair. I've just always been, I'm like, I just want to be me. And they're like, "Oh, Chris, some people are like, don't do it." And I was like, I just got to be me. So I just teach people how to fly their freak flag. God's honest truth. I coached a 69-year-old woman last year or 2 years ago. She came to me and she's 13 years widowed and was the oldest person I'd ever coached. Normally they were younger. And I said, I'm going to teach you how to fly your freak flag. And ultimately she wound up finding a guy. She got married again. And, not without too many details, but she wanted to have fun in her life. She's like, I'm old, but I'm not an old lady. And so I just teach people to be authentic, just be
I
who
would
you
love
are.
her. Since I'm 68 and a half, I would love her.
There's no way you're 68 and a half. Jesus Christ, you look like you're 40, if that.
Okay, well, then I'll have you back on the show. Well, I've got to be health coach Jody. Okay. Yeah. Compliments will get you everywhere. Thank you, Chris. But the idea is that it can happen at any stage of your life. It can happen when you're 13 and you have that epiphany. Then you went after it with that GED thing, and then whatever. Get the degree, whatever. Then you have the wife, the family. It's all there for the grabbing, because there's plenty to go around. There is plenty to go around. And frankly, we got a little bit of extra time, because to me, what does real mean to you?
It depends on what aspect of it. I mean, but real, it means truth. And so many times in life, we're not telling ourselves the truth. We ask people questions and we think we want the truth, but we don't want the truth. So that's why really my tagline came up that way, is like, I help people overcome their self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Because if you ask me, do I look fat in these pants? I'm going to say, yes, you do. You need to lose weight. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you're going to attract when you do. There's just so many different aspects of that, but to be real is just to be in the moment and not to be, Monday morning quarterbacking about your past. So many people are looking at their past and, oh, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done this. Or they're worried about the future. And one thing my son has taught me, we actually adopted him from birth. We couldn't have kids naturally. So we went the adoption process. So we've had him since birth. The one thing he's taught me, honestly, is the fact that to be in the moment. And when you're being in the moment, there's nothing else. There's nothing else better than being in the moment, being with yourself, and having that confidence to know that whatever is going to happen, whatever challenges, whatever adversities are going to happen, you're going to make it through it. Because when we go through those challenges, what happens on the other side? This thing called the hero's journey. You can go look at it on YouTube. It's the Joseph Campbell story. It's the hero's journey. It's about an hour and 22 minutes. It's a phenomenal story. And it talks about how we go through these ups and downs. And so many people don't want the adversarial challenges and everything else. But when you look back on your life, when was the time you grew the most? When times were easier, or when times were challenging?
Challenging. All the time.
So we go through those challenging experiences and we look back, and then we use those lessons later on in life to help us through other things, or we share it with other people. That's the hero's journey. So when you get real with yourself, you start to recognize the fact that no matter what comes in your life, it's coming there for a reason. And I tell people this all the time: whatever is going on right now, it's preparing you for what's next. But so many people get convoluted and they, this and then the past, or they're blaming everybody else, or they want somebody to come out and save them. They want the magic pill. They don't want to do the work. But when you get real and raw with yourself and you decide you're going to take that step and you're never going to stop, it's incredible what it is you can attract in your life. Relationships, job opportunities, money, health, happiness, every single thing. But if you sit there and mire in that fear and that anger and that resentment and that blaming, I blame my parents, I blame society, I blame the government, I blame then you're just going to get more of that, because where your focus goes, energy flows.
It does. And, there's a thing in Chinese medicine that it goes from anger, actually bitterness, resentment is first, then bitterness, anger, disease, and death. So if you're at anger, you're halfway there. You are halfway there. And what you just hit, it was what I have espoused for 42 years, Chris, about the 6-pillar living. It's 6 pillars. That's way back when, when they asked me, so you're a health coach, what sport do you coach? I said, your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they still wouldn't get it. They thought I was a soccer coach. Oh, well, they eventually did. But the idea is that being real, because what is now, then, we've gotten the word mindfulness, whatever, but you just epitomize living in the now, spelled backwards is 1. You just do.
Thank you.
You just do. You win. And I pulled up one of my favorite quotes from my quote book, and I want to honor you with this, Chris, because
Please.
This is so you. It's by Ethan Renault. Okay, Ethan Renault. Every relationship is essentially an experiment, and how real, raw, and honest I can be in front of this other human I'm experiencing.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Never heard of the person, but I love that quote. You have to send it to me.
That I will. That is you. That is you. So, what is the last piece of real and raw wisdom? And how can people find you? How can people work with you? And how can people, I guess, noexcuses.com, but you're going to want to have Chris speak because he speaks. Okay.
Yes.
So, let's take this first of all. What is your last piece of raw and real wisdom?
Wow, there's so much to think about. I would think about this. I would think about, when you want to level up in your life, the first thing you have to do is just identify that you take care of yourself. And so many people are not taking care of themselves. So your body is comprised of like 70 or 80% water. So my last piece of advice is to make sure you're hydrating, drink half your body weight in ounces of water every single day. Make sure you're getting proper nutrition. Make sure you're getting at least 6 hours sleep. Make sure you're getting outside and getting at least 10 minutes of sunshine and meditation. Journal. And start taking care of yourself and start really treating yourself as important as you would treat anybody else that you truly love in your life. And then from that point forward, get around the right people. I talk about having a team, somebody you trust, somebody who empowers you, somebody who holds you accountable, and somebody who can mentor you. And they cannot be the same person. And so I encourage people to take a list and write down the 5 people that they're around the most. Stephen Covey wrote it in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Write down those people. And are they positive or negative? Do they say, hey, yeah, Chris, go and do those things? Or they say, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's stupid. Or you should wear this. No, you want the people in your life that are going to tell you to go take those chances and take those risks. And they want to see you succeed and win, not stay miserable like them. And so when you get around the right people and you invest in yourself and you start taking care of yourself, it's incredible. I truly mean this from all my heart. It's incredible what you attract in your life. I've seen people change their life around health-wise, get off medications, attract relationships. I've helped people in all different aspects of life. So yeah, definitely go to noexcusescoach.com. I've got my workshop coming up on September 12th. It's a 90-minute workshop. It's $97. I'm throwing in the kitchen sink with that, just my way of serving people. And then the following Monday, I have my group coaching program starting on September 19th. It's 6 months and it's a phenomenal program, or they can work one-on-one with me as well. So, and if they have a speaking opportunity, I would love to entertain that. I miss being on stages, and with COVID, everybody and their brother thinks they're a speaker. And so the speaking stages have been a little bit limited, but I would love to entertain that as well. And thank you for having me on the show. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I just backtrack. I'm not done with you yet. Okay.
No.
It's one you can trust, one you can be empowered by, mentored, and then accountable. Was that the 4?
Yeah. Team, trust, empower, accountable, mentor.
Because that together, everyone achieves more. That's like 4 quarters of the football game, 4 quarters of anything. And if people are just bouncing around, the comments are like ridiculous. Like, what did you expect? But when you said, you've gone you could have done from suicide to success. This is my take, that you've got a real bent in life. You've raised the bar because you decided to learn and grow. This is real truth and the hero's journey of where you have been because you have led your life by being in the now and being intentional. So anything else you want to add to that?
Just, honestly, go out there and be the change you bitch about. So many people complain about things and they put memes up there and they're not going to change anything. The first thing you need to change is what's going on between your head. And then once you start to change that, go out there and take action. Like for me personally, like if I'm upset about something, I've actually been thinking about running for local city offices, at least getting involved in my school to make sure that my son is safe and he's not going to have some idiot not being able to protect the school like we had in Uvalde. So it's really about, if you identify there's a problem in your life, stop complaining about it, get resourceful about it. I just helping somebody the other day, they said, I could use $10,000. I was talking about coaching with me. And I said, well, if I asked you to go raise $10,000 in 7 days and it couldn't be illegal, immoral, or unethical, would you do it? Like, oh, Chris, if I could do that, then I wouldn't need you. And I'm like, okay, well, here's, let me go dark for a second. I said, who's the person you love in your life the most? My daughter. I'm like, how old is your daughter? 4 years old. What's your daughter's name? Emily. I said, okay, I'm going to go dark for a second, but I want you to stay with me on this. I said, you come home tomorrow after work. You walk in the door, Emily's tied to a chair and somebody's got a gun to her head and says, you need to come up with $10,000 in 7 days and it can't be illegal, immoral, or unethical. I said, would you find $10,000 to prevent your daughter's head from getting blown off? The person said, yeah. And I said, what's the difference? What's the difference between me asking you 5 seconds ago and asking you now? The difference is the leverage. So when you have the right leverage in your life, you become resourceful. You'll sell your 7 TVs. You'll get rid of your $2,000 iPhone. You'll go ask people for money. You'll put it on your credit card. You'll do whatever it takes in order to make that advancement. But so many people want to play it safe and they're scared of taking that action. I tell people, like, go out there and take that imperfect action, jump off that ledge, Go, not literally, go watch that video, Steve Harvey jump. It's amazing. For me, it changed everything. It was 1 minute and 23 seconds. And just go out there and live your life. You know, life is to be lived. We're only here for a nanosecond. I mean, literally, in the grand scheme of things with history, we're here for a blip. Like, go live your life. Don't worry about anybody judging you and all this other stuff. If they're judging you and hating on you, wish them well. I wished my sister well back in 2005. We reunited. I hadn't seen her since she was 16 years old and I was 9. I got around her for about a year and she was batshit crazy. And I said, I wish you well. And I said, don't ever contact me again. So you got to wish people well out of your life and take care of and love on you. And it's incredible what you can attract.
Love on you. And thank you, Chris Rausch, the No Excuses coach, for loving on us. And I was right. See, I just knew this. I said, I told my husband, I said, I've got a rock star on my TV show. And here he's got
it's all real too. It's not a fake background.
And you know, and it's like, okay, it's all real. So thank you for being raw and real. Thank you for being you. And thank you for going ahead. I'm sure you've got other things to do, but I picked this particular ad from our sponsor, Ignite Publishing, of which I'm doing their compilative book. I am putting this together for them. I am the spearhead of doing something, the Ignite Your Foundations of Health.
Love it.
It's something I dreamt about and wrote about in 1985. 3 years I was a health coach. 42 years later, we're doing the Eastern version of Healthopedia, like the ultimate PDR. That's how I hooked up with Dr. Bill Janicek. It's all 3 degrees of separation. But let me tell you something. This is Who Says No to You, because say yes to yourself and listen, because this epitomizes Ignite and it epitomizes you. Chris, thanks you. So much love and honor for you. From the bottom of my heart to you, thank you.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Who says no to you? Who tells you no, it's impossible, you can't do it? Who says the things like, you're too old, you're too fat, you're too stupid, you don't know how to do it? Who are you to want such a thing? Who tells you no in all kinds of different ways that diminish your spirit and pull you down? Who says no to you? Who is not there for you in the way that you need emotionally by giving you the words no when you tell them your dreams, your ideas, and your desires? Here's the thing. No is just someone else's opinion. No is their limited thinking. No is what their brain tells them when they believe they can't do it. It's not possible, and it's way too big for them. Don't listen to anyone else's no. Know yourself. Know what it is you want. Know what it is you believe in and desire, and don't let anyone else's opinion of what you want to do stop you from going after what it is you want. No is their limited ideas. It means they can't do it. They don't see it. They don't have the vision like you do. So don't believe in their no and go after your yes. No just means new option. It means there's a new way of doing it. No means new option for you, not them, but you. You get to go after what it is you want because you believe in it. You see it. You have the vision. It's in your heart. It's in your soul. It's your DNA. Why you are here and why you do what you do is because you have it in you. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. And in fact, no is just the universe's way of challenging you, of questioning you, of putting up a little bit of resistance to see if you are going to continue. When someone else says no, it's a test. It's a test to know if you want it bad enough to go through them, beyond them, past them, over top of them if you have to get what it is you believe is real for you. No just means new option. Go after it in your own way. Find a different path. Turn, pivot, do something completely the opposite, knowing that there's another option, another reason. There's another way. There's another destiny out there for you. It doesn't matter what someone else says. Their no is not your no. So believe in you. Go after your dreams. Know yourself enough to know that you've got this. This is yours. You can do this. Believe in you, ignite you, and be you. That's all that matters.
With our pink billionaire, JB Owen, who's finishing up her last 2 weeks tandem bicycling from Vancouver all the way to the eastern tip of Canada, who said no to her. Who would say no to Christopher Rausch? Wasn't that an amazing, amazing interview? And frankly, this is why I'm so honored and amazed to be with Traverse TV. You see, this month, we're now 1 month in. We're 1 month in, and our own health channel, Healthopedia. So stay tuned more as we build out our health channel, as we build this out in all 6 pillars of human existence. Just DM me at Health Coach Jody. You will see this on the screen. Go to foundationsofhealth.igniteyou.life. We are launching. We've got it a third filled now. We're needing probably 12 to 14 really good people to fill this up. Famous doctors, infamous practitioners like myself, or influencers that want to make a difference in this world of health, that have a story to tell, how they have reclaimed and regained their life to be with us and ignite your foundations of health. And then we're going to write, as I said, on my vision board, on this little recipe book that I found last year. It was this big. Where did I find it? It was on and stuck to something that I was looking, old curriculum with a new twist, going ahead and being a servant to someone that had a terrifically ADHD child. And I knew I could help them holistically. So this is what I did. I found this, and it said in 1985, I will write and spearhead. Basically, I'm just going to, I will write the Eastern version of the PDR. That stands for Physician's Desk Reference. Every MD has it in their office, but I'm going to write the Eastern version of a PDR. It's Healthopedia. It's coming with the physicians, with the practitioners. We're coming together, and we're doing this as a second project. You'll be hearing about this over and over again, because we want to be the change, even in the medical session, as Chris talked about, that we bitch about. Let's be the change, and we can be that change. And you can be that change in your own little way by going to my website, Health Coach Jody, picking up what I will say is my Ignite Wisdom, my latest book. You can go to drjody.com and just pick this book up. And what will you get out of that? Go into book bundles. The proceeds go to La Casa Ropa de Sobre, my Colombian charity that I sponsor. So just be with us, drjody.com. That's it, drjody.com. That's me, Jody. Will be spearheading a new mastermind in September. Does your liver quiver? If not, what you got? Okay. It's just, we're doing a cleansing routine for the entire year of 2022. This is the next installment. So you could always find me at drjody.com. Thanks. And a shout out to the Rhonda Wright. If you want a website done, just DM me. I can get you hooked up with her. And then on all social media platforms at Health Coach Jody. And if you want to do old school, it's just 800-820-0854. That's 800-820-0854. You can hear me Sundays on my syndicated radio show, Building Fortunes Radio, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, buildingfortunesradio.com/live. My next opportunity to be on Traverse TV is Monday, high noon, Mindset Mondays. I'll be with Sunshine Specialist Athena Robertson for 30 minutes. What a way to take your lunch hour. And then, of course, the fourth Thursday of every month at noon, we debut Doctor Talk. Come be and talk in our health sandbox. We debuted it today at noon. Our next episode will be inflammation. It's going to be a swell topic, don't you think? And it will be on the 22nd of September. And then here on Traverse TV, every single Thursday, 6 p.m., my distinguished guest will be executive coach, raw and real again, in his own way, the principled coach, Dwight Lee, next Thursday. I want to thank especially Christopher Rausch one more time, being real, raw, authentic, and just #awesome. Don't you agree? I want to see this in the chats. #awesome. He just embodies this quote. Success is not counting how high that you have climbed. No. But by how many people you've taken along with you. Christopher Rausch, no excuses, coach. You have taken us to that next level. You certainly got. You've got this. He's got life, and so can you too. And in my arena, remember, health is not something you do. No, it's what you become along life's journey. Because life is like a milkshake. Choose your ingredients wisely. And when you do, in this case, in that mental mindset, that raw and real mindset, like Christopher was talking about this evening, when you choose those ingredients wisely, your life will be, so sweet. So until next time, this is Dr. J saying, have a healthy day.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell